Hey guys, today's video is going to be a tutorial on this green grungy smoky eye that I'm wearing today. I posted this look on Instagram recently and so many of you asked me to do a tutorial, so I was like, okay, we got this. I've never really used much green before thinking about it. It's just not a color that I really typically reach for, so it was fun to do this look. Anyways, I'm just going to hop right into it. Let's do it. Alright, so I'm going to start out by priming my lid with MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot. Now I'm just going to go in with a base shadow, and I personally like this one. It's Vanilla from the Softbox Battle Lash palette. And I just like this one because it matches my skin pretty well. And I'm applying this with a Smith 220 brush. And I'm going from my lid all the way up to my brow bone. So I'm going to be using primarily the Kat Von D Mi Vida Loca palette for this look, and I'm going to go in with a transition shade for the crease. So I'm going to take Strutter, and I'm just going to apply this right in my crease. I'm not going to add a ton of product, I just want a little bit of definition, so it's not just straight up green in the crease. It'll just help the green look a little more blended out. Okay, oh man, trying to remember how I did this look. I don't remember what I did next. I'm thinking that I went in with a white base on the lid, so I'm going to do that. And I'm just going to use my NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in Milk for this, so I'm just going to run it across my lid. Keep in mind that if you laid the base shadow down, it's going to be a little bit harder to blend, but that's okay. Ain't no thing. And I'm just going in with my finger to blend this out. And I'm not going to blend it into the crease or anything, I'm just going to make sure it's a light layer all over my lid. And I'm sure you guys know this, but this is just going to make the green even brighter and pop even more. So I'm going to take up a little bit of vinyl on a Smith 256 brush, and this is going to be the color that's going all over the lid. So I'm just going to take it on this brush like this, tap off a little excess, because you don't want fallout. And I'm just going to pat this on the base. And you might need a couple layers to build up the color and opacity that you want, which is fine. This is a really cool color though. It's kind of like a neon, almost like a chartreuse. It's just really bright and fun. So I love this one as a lid color. I'm going to grab a little bit of Misfit with that same brush, which is just a darker green. And I'm just going to pack this into the inner and outer corner of my lid just to kind of create a spotlight or halo effect. So I'm going to leave the bright green in the center untouched and just add this darker green to the outer and inner corner. And if you lose a little bit of the bright green in the center, you can just take some on your finger, place it in the center, and then just blend it out. So now I'm going to start the process of blending greens into the crease. So I'm going to take Misfit again on a MAC 217 brush. Just going to start blending this into the crease. So I'm going to look down a little bit and work this in circular motions all the way across. So I'm kind of connecting the outer corner that we just placed this color in with the inner corner. I'm actually going to switch back to my Smith 230 because I like this brush a lot more. And just going to pick up some more Misfit and start blending again. You're just going to want to do this a little bit at a time, so don't pick up a ton of product. I know I always say this, but it's important. I'm going to actually blend this kind of almost touching that inner part of my brow. I really like blending it up to that area, just kind of following like the natural eye socket, if that makes sense. So I'm going to take that big fluffy blending brush, and I'm not going to add any product to it. I'm just going to use this to blend out that crease even more and just soften up any edges. I'm going to take a little bit of Misfit again and place that back in the inner and outer corners just to add a little bit more color. After blending, it kind of loses a bit. So now I'm going to go into Lemmy, which is the darkest green in the palette, and it does have a bit of shimmer to it, so it's a little bit harder to work with, like in the crease and stuff like that. So if you have a darker matte green that would work in place of this one, go ahead and use that, but I just wanted to stick to the same palette. And I'm just pretty much placing this all over the same spots that I placed Misfit, and I'm actually switching to my smaller Smith 253 brush. It's pretty much the same thing as the last brush that I just used, but it's smaller. So I want Lemmy to fit into a smaller area than Misfit, so I'm not going to cover as much of an area, so that's why I switched to a smaller brush. And if you get any fallout, don't worry. I haven't done my foundation yet. I like to save my foundation for after my eyes when I do like these more intense eye looks because I know I'm going to get a lot of fallout. So if you're trying this for the first time, go ahead and do your eyes first and your foundation last to avoid getting eyeshadow all over your foundation. So once I have it placed in those areas, I'm going to take this tiny little blending brush. This is by Cosette. It's the S185, and I got this at IMATS. No regrets. This is the best tiny blending brush ever. So I'm going to take Lemmy on this brush again, and I'm just going to blend this into the crease. And this brush is perfect for the crease when you don't want it to be too blown out. So I'm just going to focus this right in like the dead center crease area. I'm not going to blend it up as far as the other ones. And I'm going to go back to this blending brush that has a little bit leftover green on it from before, the lighter green, and I'm just going to blend those two colors together a little bit. And real quick, I'm just going to go back in with vinyl, and I'm just going to put a little bit more on the lid. So I'm just going to take this one step further and make it a little bit darker. I'm going to go in with black metal, and I'm going to take this on a Real Techniques shading brush, and I'm just going to apply this kind of in the outer V area and then in the very inner corner. And then I'm going to take a super tiny amount of that black eyeshadow on that same small blending brush by Cosette, and I'm just going to sweep this across my crease to blend the two corners together. Pretty much exactly what we did with the last dark green. I'm going to take Lemmy one more time, the darkest green, and I'm just going to blend this over the inner half of the outer corner of the black and then the outer half of the inner corner of the black. I don't know if that makes sense. Basically just going to apply this on parts of the black and blend it in towards the center so it goes from black to dark green to light green on the lid. So I added the black in those same spots one more time, blended it out again, and then I'm taking this big blending brush one last time and I'm just going to run this along the top of the crease to blend out those harsh lines. I'm going to move on to the glitter now, and I'm going to be using Sweet Pea size 2 by Lit Cosmetics, and I'm going to be applying this with the Clearly Liquid Glitter Base. I'm just going to apply the glue with my finger to the center of my lid where the brightest green is, then I'm just going to dip my finger into the glitter and then pat it all over the glue. So for liner, I'm just going to be using my Kat Von D Trooper ink liner. I'm just going to do a simple wing, not too thick because I don't want it to cover too much of the lid. And I'm going to add a quick coat of the Eve Pearl Mascara to my lashes before I put on the false lashes. While I'm waiting for my lash glue to get tacky, I'm going to move right along to my primer. And I'm trying the Becca Backlight Primer. This is my second day using it. I don't know how I feel about it, but just going to pop out a pump. I just didn't fall in love with it like I thought I would, but we'll give it a fourth shot. Okay, so I'm going to let this sit in for a couple minutes, move back to my lashes, put those babies on. And the lashes I'm putting on right now are the House of Lashes Starlets. I have been wearing these every day since I got them a couple weeks ago. I should probably actually cool it on these. And I'm going to line my tight line real quick with the Urban Decay Perversion pencil. And now I can move back to my face since my primer's had a bit to settle in. I'm going to take a little bit of my Rimmel 25-Hour Foundation. Just going to plop this out on the back of my hand. So I'm going to take about that much. And I'm going to mix half a pump of this Becca Backlight Primer in with it. And I'm just going to dot this all over just like I did with the primer. And then just taking my damp beauty blender and I'm just going to use this to kind of bounce it off my face. You guys know the drill. And blend the foundation into my skin. Alright, so I'm just going to take a little bit of whatever's left over in my hand. I'm going to apply it right with the sponge to the areas that need a little more help because my chin decided to be an asshole again and start breaking out. And I'm just going to take a little bit more on my cheeks. Oh man, forgot to use my Professional by Benefit. I've been using that lately because something about my skin has changed and my pores have gotten a lot more noticeable, which is fun. I'm just going to move on to this Dual Salmon Concealer by Eve Pearl. Take a little bit of each color, and this is in the shade Fair, by the way. Just going to apply this right in that under eye area. Okay, so for spot concealing and just a little bit more coverage and highlight, I'm going to take my MAC Pro Longwear Concealer in NC15. Gonna dot this around here. A little bit down my nose, around my nostrils where it's still a little bit red, on my chin where it's still a little bit red. And I'm just gonna apply this on the spots that need it, just like that much. And this guy up here, hello, nice to meet you, please leave. And then I'm just gonna go in and blend this out. Okay, and then I'm just gonna use my finger to blend out the spot concealer. Alright, so I'm going to go in and set my concealer, and I'm going to use my Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. And then I'm just going to focus this underneath the eyes mostly, because that's where I tend to crease the most. Plus, this helps the lower lash line shadows to blend out a lot easier. And I'm just going to take a little bit on my laugh lines right here, and a tiny bit on my chin. So I'm going to move back to my eyes before I finish my face. I know I'm doing stuff in such a weird order today, but I just want the foundation to dry more before I go in with the powder contour and stuff. So I'm going to go back to the Kat Von D palette and I'm going to take this guy, Vinyl, and I'm going to take that on Smith 230 again. And I'm just going to quickly run this along my lower lash line and blend it out simultaneously as I go. I'm going to grab the medium green called Misfit on that Cosette brush. And I'm just going to run this along the lower lash line as well, pretty much just on top of the vinyl, but not as blended out. I'm going to take the side of this brush and I'm going to dip this in Lemmy. And I'm going to run this up near my lower lashes so it's darkest by my lashes and then it blends out to the lightest green color the further down you go. I'm going to grab some black metal with a flat eyeliner brush by Royal and Langnickel. And I'm just going to stamp this along my lower lash line. I always put the black up as close to my lashes as possible so it's the darkest right there, like I said before. And I'm just going to use tiny little patting or pulling motions to blend this down as I go. I hardly ever line my waterline with a straight up black pencil, but since this look is pretty dramatic, I'm just going to take that same Urban Decay pencil that we used on the tight line. I'm just going to run this along my waterline. And if you want to darken up that lower lash line even more, you can run this pencil along the outer part of your lower lash line, like on top of that black eyeshadow. I want to use a matte, almost white shade to highlight, so I'm going to go into Snowflake from the Saucebox Etude palette. I'm just going to pop this in the inner corner with my pinky and blend it out slightly. And then take a little bit right underneath the tail of the brow. And I'm just going to add a quick coat of mascara to my lower lashes before we move back to the face. I'm going to take my Lunatic Cosmetics Labs contour book and I'm going to use a couple of these shades, this guy and this guy, to contour. And I'm going to take these two together on the Smith 112 brush and I'm just going to work this into my cheekbone. I was going to take this up to my forehead and work it across my hairline, really push it into my baby hairs and everything. I just like to go in with my beauty blender and just bounce the fat part over the contour just to soften it up and blend it out a little bit more. For highlight, I'm just going to use my Mary Luminizer by the Balm. And I'm just going to take this on the highest part of my cheekbones. Oh, I want to highlight my forehead, but not with that guy on there. That would look awful. So I'm just going to stick to my Cupid's bow and a little bit on my nose. And then for blush, I think I'm just going to take a little bit of Bliss by Makeup Geek. It's kind of almost an orange shade, and I have never used this before, so we'll see how it looks. Actually, you probably won't see how it looks because I never put a lot of blush on. I'm going to outline my lips with the Rock & Rose Jordana lip liner. And then the lipstick I'm going to be wearing, in the original picture I used Renegade by Lunatic Labs, but I can't find that one right now. And I have this one by Ofra that's really similar, and it's Staten Island, and it's a matte drying lipstick, so I like this one better anyways. Alright guys, so that's it for the look, and this is perfect timing since somebody just decided it was a good time to start weed whacking right outside my window. Anyways, I hope you guys like this one, and thank you for requesting it. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!